Salutations and welcome, my divine friends. Nice to have you here on Wednesday night live stream. Always, we are concerned and excited about the mystery of the star tetrahedron, a form of consciousness and light that through imagination and the focusing of attention, we continue to hone and refine. It is in front and back, it is above and all around. All things in creation are literally a star tetrahedron. An atom, the sun, the earth, you, all creation is simply the star tetrahedron. It is the miracle mechanism of manifestation, which we're going to talk a little bit about tonight. The, of course, beautiful thing about the star tetrahedron, why it is the miracle mechanism of manifestation, is that as it turns, the upper triangulation of divine power and the feminine of imagination, love, they're creating a vortex of energy within in the middle. The upper triangulation moving left to right, lower triangulation right to left. And this counter rotation, just like if you take two magnets and you move them in counter rotation, it then creates a vortex where they would meet. And so this is then the triangulation of power and love that creates a vortex in the middle within the area of the heart chakra, and it opens a doorway literally back into the void. And we know then from source emanating from out of the void, we then can imagine and feel what it is we choose to create. And as we then hold attention upon it, it is literally arising forth from source and then touching the facets of this rapidly spinning star, which then literally then creates it to be holographically created within this dimensional reality. So that's why it's the miracle mechanism. The miracle mechanism occurred when at the very beginning of creation, about 13.8 billion years ago, Source within the void for eons of no time was simply imagining and creating and feeling within the void. If you can imagine this supreme mind that was literally filling no time, no space, the cosmos, if you will, imagining for eons and eons of time. Imagine just like humanity in a very short period of time, we've been able to imagine cars and rocket ships and computers and clothes and creative things and art, on and on and on, in a very short period of time. So imagine source and its outrageous consciousness, literally within the void, imagining. And in that imagination, source then finally asks the question within all this imagining, what am I? And in that moment of what am I, that was the Big Bang. And literally then erupting forth from out of the void was this dynamic force of energy, which was the Om, the Ah-U-M, Ah, which is a wave going up, Ooh, the wave going down, and then the M is the kind of quiet place, the silence, and then once again, ah, excuse me, Ah-U-M. As that vibrated through the cosmos, everything then within creation is a waveform. There are different frequencies of the waveform. If we have the very fast frequencies, it's the infrared. If we have the very long frequencies of the waveform, it's then literally radio waves and waves that then are about literally thousands of meters long. The other ones are infinitely short until we get down to even the gamma ray, which is a wave that is moving so fast it literally can go through anything within creation and never touch another atom. That's how small that waveform is. So everything in creation is but a wave. And as the wave from creation sounded forth Aum, it then created a vibration, which is this first energy of the triangulation. But because there was now waves moving through creation and they began to move and flow back and forth upon each other, it then created energy. So here is ah up, ooh down, silence. So this is an energy wave. It's just like the ocean. You can put something on the ocean, and just by that wave happening, there is energy that is moving and creating. And so the sound of Om created energy. And as energy then was then dancing and moving across each other and intersecting, it then created mass, form. That first mass was very rudimentary, but nonetheless, the first mass was created. And so this is what we call the energy of the Father, the positive polarity of the triangulation, that then created this upper triangulation, which is then the upper part of the star tetrahedron. But there was still no creation. And so Source then simply mirrored itself. And as it mirrored itself, it then created then the opposite. And so energy became love. Source flowing forth as the Aum was simply the love of what am I? And so love was then the opposite polarity. Love then, when in action, created wisdom. And then when wisdom and love were together, it then created form. And so then there was then two triangulations, the positive polarity, the negative polarity, the masculine, the feminine, which we have to have for creation to exist. But at the same time, they were still in opposition. There was the feminine, there was the masculine, and they were sitting on top of each other, base to base. Still no thing within creation, still no light within creation. But over time, they began to move together. And as they did, they finally became perfectly juxtapositioned together, which is the star tetrahedron. And so, masculine power, energy, wave, mass, with love, wisdom, action, now united as they were then turning, it created the vortex in the middle and source arising forth. And as source was then arising forth, it then created the first energy wave of physicality. So it is the miracle mechanism of manifestation. And of course, the beauty of it is we're at the place within time space now where this was the original emanation from source oneness, and it was on a wave of perfection flowing out through the entire cosmos. But over time, Source then began to cognize, is it possible to create a three-dimensional reality, a place of dimensional form that had never really been created before? But with that dimensional world of form, would it then be possible to get spiritual beings inside of it? And so we know that about 200,000 years ago, in the evolution of humanity, the right brain, the left brain of humanity was then functioning. It was the very first rudimentary, if you will, man woman. But with that functioning of the right brain and the left brain, it then allowed spirit through the crown chakra to literally begin to enter and descend into form. It was much like a puppet, though, rather than the soul, the being that you are fully infused within. It was simply a thread, a small aspect of it that was then touching into the nervous system of those first rudimentary animal man. And then the soul was then moving it into places and gathering experience and information and playing within this dimensionality, learning about power and survival and emotion and feeling and the entire gamut of creation. But then when there was more balance created and more evolution within form, more of the soul could then enter deeper into that being. And so then the brain began to develop and the whole nervous system became much more, excuse me, much more refined. And then that refinement, we have then moved into now the great spiritual awakening on the planet. It's been going on, of course, for some time, but it's really within the last probably 20 to 30 years that we've really reached kind of a crescendo of spirit now entering so dynamically into the form. And we know through all the books and all the information, the YouTube videos, and all the great teachers, that the information is now really streaming into the earth grid quite rapidly. And as it does, it then allows the form to be ever more upgraded. The mind is more clear and precise and impeccable in its knowing, which allows more in that silence and that peace and love for more of the soul to enter into the form. Now, the soul, of course, is always within perfection. It's simply the personality that is going through its dance with this three-dimensional world of form, learning about power as manipulation or control or wanting or needing or desiring, and finally bringing power to its final manifestation, which is simply focused attention, simply like the projector at the movie. And then through dancing with the feminine aspect of emotion and feeling and love, learning about powerlessness and loneliness and beginning to really bring that back into balance and harmony, and finally begin to love oneself and no longer giving one's power away, no longer looking for something in the world to fulfill oneself. Love begins to be established. And as love is established and power is now unified, it's just like the projector at the movie. The power of the focused mind, simply light and attention, shining through the imagination and the feeling of the feminine that is in love and in harmony. The open doorway within the heart is now there, and one can then summon and one can then choose what one would have as the choices of creation within their own individual life. And so over time, one becomes the miracle mechanism manifestation. We call this the Christ energy, not a consciousness, not a person, even though individuals like Jesus and Buddha and Krishna, as well as many other ascended beings of light, have mastered the Christ field. But the Christ field, it's a nuclear radiance. And it's this nuclear radiance that is literally being empowered from source, from inside out. That source, once again, is within an atom. It's within the sun. It's within Earth Gaia. This is literally the core of Mother Earth. That is this molten core of sunlight. And as it is then also in radiance, then the life force of Mother Earth, of Gaia, is then emanating out. And there's an evolutionary journey that she is on, growing and unfolding, learning about her aspects of focusing and love and feeling, and now bringing humanity into that, wonderful example of love and light and possibilities. We're reaching a crescendo of great possibilities upon the planet. And so it's up to each one of us as we're then again moving through our spiritual lives to begin to find ways that we can begin to hone and refine the mind. Meditation is one of the best ways. It teaches the mind to be silent. And in that silence, one then begins to feel that there are literally open doorways of spirit within, where we can begin to dialogue and feel source, the divine soul you are, that is now interfacing through the divine mind, through the brain, and we're receiving information and psychic and intuitive knowledge and wisdom from our higher self. And then we're refining our feeling of love and self-acceptance, letting go of emotion and things that the world we think are bothering us, and realizing what bothers us was something inside. But then by finding what is the emotion within, and not judging, criticizing, or disliking, but slipping through it in non-resistance, we find that part of ourselves that wasn't loved, It is simply learning the lessons of powerlessness and loneliness and manipulation and control from other incarnations and now bring it back. And here it is once again as emotion within us. Nothing wrong with emotion. It's literally the gift. It's the gift that says if you learn to go through the emotion in non judgment, you'll always find something inside of you that is holding that emotion. It's that childlike part of you that picked up from the ignorant programming of mother, father, culture, society, feelings of loneliness or powerlessness or worthlessness. It's what you choose. It's what you needed in order to be able to finally feel it and not cast it out and once again create it as someone creating you to be powerless or lonely or being angry or frustrated with something out there, but realizing all of that was but a mirror of something that was within inside of me. And by feeling that emotion and then simply settling in and through it, bring in the divine being you are, power and love, the focusing of light and the golden energy of unconditional love, you gently slip through the emotion, the darkness, so to speak. And as we literally allow ourselves to move through all darkness, we find something that wasn't loved. That's all darkness is, lack of light and lack of love. If something isn't loved, it then begins to put around it counterclockwise spirals of protection and fear and hatred and trying to keep other things from disallowing it or denying it. But inside, there's always that core of truth, which is source. Everything in creation is but source. It can be covered over with ignorant programs, but its very core, the essence of all creation, is simply source. And as we then are able to find and feel that unconditional love within, and we awaken ourselves back into life, we begin to create this nuclear radiance of unconditional love and light, which is sunlight from us, which is the Christ feel. It then shines upon all creation, and it simply doesn't judge it or criticize or dislike it. It just keeps weaving ever deeper inside of it and finally finds what inside of all creation wants to be loved, really knows itself in its very deepest essence. Its deepest essence is source. We're now vibrating that energy because we have now unified our vibration and love with that which is source within that. It gives it permission to wake up. It acknowledges its right to live. It doesn't matter how dark and lonely and separate, it begins to vibrate it. So it's not trying to change it or dislike it or judge it. It's simply with great compassion. That was one of the cornerstones of Buddha's work, compassion. Opening the heart and allowing the divine love to simply flow outward and find and feel within all creation. Where is source? Where is it hiding? Where has it been covered over with ignorance? And in acknowledging its source reawakens. It might not be tomorrow, it might not be the next day, but the vibration has been seeded. It's just like a catalyst. Once that catalyst has been seeded within, it begins to move from cell to cell and tissue to tissue, and bit by bit, day by day, it awakens within. And so that's the gift that we can really bring to life now. That we can begin to really hone and refine this Christ field, this literally this star tetrahedron of consciousness and light that we build through our focus and through our imagination. And imagination is really one of the greatest tools for spiritual development. It's one of the finest tools there is for creation. Everything we have in our world has been imagined, be it a car, be it a rocket ship, be it a computer, be it a piece of art. Whatever it is, at one time it was quietly imagined within the darkness of someone's mind, in their silence deep within. They simply called forth imagination. And then they began to bring the tools and the energy to then create it to be manifest within reality. The Christ field is able to do that instantaneously because it focuses the light with such dynamic precision and focus. And the love and the feeling and the imagination is so profound. It's just like when you go to a movie, they simply turn the projector on, the film starts to play, and there's the movie upon the screen. And it can be so real that you begin to suspend your belief. You're now in the movie and you're worried for the characters. You're in love with some. You're crying for something else. It feels so real, but it was just an instantaneous projection of light through film. This is the Christ field. It is an instantaneous projection of the power of the divine mind, you are, through imagination and feeling, and then source from inside out. The breath of life then creates it to be so. The spinning facets of the star tetrahedron, this prism of living light, this Christ prism. And as this crystalline prism simply spins it out into holographic reality, it simply becomes real and manifest within form. And so this is the beautiful road we're on right now, this awakening of a new life and a new day on the planet. As we're awakening to this new vibration, we're finding that, yes, it's stimulating a lot of darkness and a lot of separation that was beneath the kind of like the covers within reality is now beginning to be revealed. But we don't dislike it or judge it or criticize. We know as we continue to hold the Christ wave, the sunlight, living light from us, vibrating dynamically, that's going to overcome all darkness, all separation, all shadow. We don't sit on our haunches and do nothing. We're active, we're dynamic, we're doing those things that bring us joy, but at the same time, we're doing it with great compassion and great feeling of love and non-judgment. And then we're going to bring a new world and a new place onto this beautiful planet. So one of the things that really assists us in our star tetrahedron work is our breath work. The reason being, when we're doing the breath, we're literally summoning from out of the open doorway with the in-breath source. So our in-breath, the in-breath is, we're literally breathing in source, and as we gentle exhale, we're seeing and feeling, again, focusing the mind and feeling, sparkling, effervescent light going through every cell, every tissue of the body, flowing out into the world as living sunlight. And that's the gift that we bring to the world. So I'm going to take you through the formulation of the star tetrahedron. No, I'm going to take you through the formation of breath. Then we'll do the star tetrahedron. So let's don't get ahead of ourselves, Gary. So sitting comfortably and quietly, let's simply close the eyes. And we feel the body relaxing. By simply bringing the attention of peace and quiet to the body, it relaxes. And with our deep in-breath, we feel ourselves opening a doorway within the area of the heart. And we're breathing source, summoning source into this dimension. And gentle exhale, sparkling, effervescent, golden sunlight and peace. We see it through every cell and tissue of the body. Living sunlight flowing out into the world. Deep in-breath, summoning source. Feeling the arising forth from the open doorway, imagination. Focusing the mind and feeling sparkling, effervescent sunlight within and all around. Deep belly breathing, spine nice and straight. The spine becomes a golden tube of living light around which the star tetrahedron turns. It is grounded with earth. It is open to the heavens above. And I breathe. I have such joy in feeling sparkling, effervescent light, weaving through every tissue and cell of the body, flowing like living sunlight out into the world. The breath of life from the open doorway within the heart. Gently focusing the mind upon the open doorway. I summon Source, sacred and divine, into this dimension. I am the breath of life. I am the light. And a couple of more deep, deep in-breaths. Summoning Source from the open doorway within the heart. Sparkling, effervescent light flowing all around, front and back, up and down. Like the sun, I am the light. And then very easily now, you can begin to feel yourself slowly coming back more and more into the moment and into the now. When we're focused upon observing the breath, the mind cannot be thinking. If throughout the day things come up and all of a sudden you're caught in the hullabaloo of what's going on, if you just stop for a moment, breathe from the open doorway, you'll watch as things settle down, come back into balance, because you've removed the attention of the mind away from what is to truth within. So the upper triangulation of divine masculine power is spinning left to right shoulder, left to right. The lower triangulation moving right to left counterclockwise. Don't get too hung up on the focus in the spinning. Simply know that that's what's happening. And the more that you observe it, and the more you imagine it, and the more you practice it, the more real it becomes. So I'll take you through the entire sequencing, and then I will join with you, and we will create living light together. So once again, we can just close the eyes and feel the body relaxing. The breath is already calm and quiet. By simply bringing our attention between the eyebrows, we imagine a line straight back, and within the approximate center point of the head, the seat of the soul. And we imagine the light igniting. The golden light of the soul filling the mind with pure, focused light. Gently bringing the light down to the heart chakra at the sternum, we imagine and illuminate what already exists. It has simply been covered over. But the star tetrahedron, whatever size you choose, in front, in back, all around, and within the very center, the upper triangulation is moving left to right. Lower triangulation, right to left. Opposite triangulations create an open doorway within the heart. A doorway back into source, the void. And spirit arising forth into this dimension, touching the facets of this dynamic star, the Christ star. And together we create sunlight and peace within the world. I will join with you in dynamic living light. And very easily now, slowly coming back more and more into the moment of the now. Thank you very much for coming and dancing in the light. And we will return soon and dance again. Namaste.